I find that
We're gonna be out there Wednesday.
Let me know.
Call this meeting to order, July 18th, 3 o'clock, for orders of condition and some minutes. So first up, we'll do, anyone remember July, June 8th?
Just a minute, I got. No, I don't think I was here for some reason.
Well, I'm saying I missed the 4 PM one on the 27th, and I don't know why I would have missed it, but
Yeah, I don't,
was I away?
I wasn't here
was-
on June 8th, I don't think, just a minute.
I think we
Was
should
I-
put that one off.
No,
was
I was here,
orders.
I was here.
You have it?
Yep. And Ms. Gladwell, I have concerns about fish. This was the only, I had no corrections in this one.
That was the Bay Road one.
Bay Road,
yeah.
yeah,
I moved to adopt.
second.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion by Betsy to accept the June 8th minutes and a second by Maury. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. June 15th.
I move that we adopt as written. I did read those.
I knew you did. Your memory's very good.
Well, yeah, but if it's, because it says planning board, I remember. If you gave me, if you said it was
Yeah.
about the.
I was not here, so I have to abstain.
So we have a motion by Betsy.
Can we have a second?
We have a second.
Second.
yeah, Maury already.
Oh, I
did.
thought you were abstaining.
Well, I don't know.
No,
if
I
she
abstained,
can
I'm sorry, I
second.
sec-
She can't second it if she wasn't there.
Oh, then you did. I heard
Well,
somebody
you
say
know, we
second.
only have three, Jen, so we
No,
can't,
I made the motion.
we can't, doesn't matter
Why?
anyway.
It's
We
3
need
or 4.
I'm
No, you
abstaining.
don't. It's a
quorum for the
it's a-
Conservation
This is a
Commission is
quorum.
4.
No, this is a quorum. It's a majority of the quorum. That's what we're gonna be voting these orders.
But
You're
I,
voting the orders under a majority of of the quorum present for a hearing.
Right.
So it's,
I know, so we can do the same for the minutes.
who's abstaining?
I have to, I wasn't here.
For which one?
The the 18th, the one we just did.
The 15th.
And 15th.
So just hold the 15th, and
Yeah.
if somebody has an issue, we'll do it on Wednesday.
But you can do it.
Not a big
It's a
deal.
majority of the quorum,
Okay.
and the quorum is 4. 3 is a majority of 4.
Okay.
June
Just for
22nd, let's
future.
All right,
move on,
let's
guys.
go. June 22nd. Anyone?
You have to give me a hint as to what it was about.
This one, this was when we had Pondlet Place, Gerard Ave, Linda Joffrey for permission to talk, that, remember with that fence discussion for Vince Joffrey?
Yep.
And let's see what else. Little Pond Conservation Area, Town of Falmouth, Spring Bars Road,
Yep.
and Minot Road for mission to, the one that we recalled, we denied procedurally for,
Yep.
Mike Borselli.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You don't have any corrections, though.
I
No,
think
I-
I missed this meeting. This-
Nope, everybody
I
was
was
here.
there?
Yep.
Okay.
The only one missing, they didn't say Mario was missing, but I don't know if
That's
Mario,
because he was.
he's gone now. Okay, gone.
Okay, I move that we move the minutes of, I move that we adopt the minutes of June 22nd.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second by Mary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Okay, June 27th. That
I
was
was
the
not
4
here.
o'clock.
And I was not here, so we won't
We'll
have,
just hold that one.
That was orders of condition.
Yeah, so we'll hold that one, and then how about July 13th?
I read those. They look good. I make a motion that we accept them.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Betsy and a second by Mary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. So just two of them, so we get a few out of the way. Susan. Okay, so vote order conditions. First up is 10 Chappaquay Road. Jen?
This was the deck expansion on Chappaquay Road presented by John Doyle. The only recommendation the staff has is that all of the mitigation plans, one for the deck and for the work on the septic system that was never done, although the septic system was done, be installed prior to issuing a building permit or signing off on the building permit for the deck.
Yep.
Basically, they didn't fulfill the requirements of the RDA that they agreed to, and, you know, they're coming back to the board with requesting permission for additional work on the property, and I think the work that is that should have been completed under the RDA be completed, and also the mitigation required for the deck be completed prior to.
Yep.
I think that's a good idea.
I would just add that there was a request to add a path so that invasives thing could be
Yes,
attended. And
yes.
I don't think that's on paper anymore, so.
Well, yeah,
That's why I'm
I
mentioning it.
suggested it when I was out
Oh,
there,
okay.
and I suggested it during the meeting.
Okay.
So
I
Jen,
had that in the notes.
Yeah,
so what would happen is, Mark would go out and check before
Yeah,
they
yeah, we'll
got the
do
permit
that.
for the deck, before
Yeah.
any sign off for a building permit?
basically.
Yeah, that way
Yeah.
we know it's correct, or it's the way it should be done.
I move to adopt the order as discussed.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. 8 Rice Street.
Give me 1
Hastings.
second.
I know what this is.
I'm trying to remember.
It's
This
the
is the
new
septic.
Title V where Maury asked them to do a day-night system instead.
With path and,
I'll tell you what I feel about this one. We had a discussion, and we gave him the opportunity to go back and to discuss it again, to put a D-night system in, and Maury made it clear, and then I emphasized also that the West Falmouth community as a whole was working with Buzzards Bay Coalition to try to clean up West Falmouth Harbor, and that, so
Well, is
we
this the
may
house
not-
that's being sold?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We might not have required D-nights in the past, but we didn't require them in the past because they were kind of iffy, and the question was, are these people going to be there in the winter? If they're not going to be in the winter, when will the system work? So I think if we're ever going to say, hey, you should be putting D-nights in, we can't keep saying, well, we're not going to do that because we haven't done it in the past. I think we have to make a stand, and I think this was a case where we discussed it in public.
Well, and we used to, years past, probably not very recently, but we used to impose D-night systems all the time
Yeah.
in nitrogen-sensitive embayments. Not
Right.
if you were on a pond, or if you were in Vineyard Sound,
On the
but.
open ocean.
Open
Yeah.
ocean, but there were many times, like McGansett and places like that, that we would require denitrifying systems. The planning board requires it for any of these larger developments that aren't even in the, and this, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was in the Coastal Pond Overlay District of West
Yes, it
Falmouth
is.
Harbor on top of that. So, I mean, it is actually in one of the most degraded sections of West Falmouth Harbor.
Yeah,
And it is only,
it's where the
they don't
input
even
from
meet
the
the,
sewer system.
well, they say they
What's
meet
it
the,
called? Septic.
yeah, and they don't
What's
even
that
meet
called?
87
What's that
feet.
plant up on
they were
top of the hill?
proposing a
Oh, yeah,
Presby,
the,
correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Wastewater
which
plant.
again,
Wait, I have a question, Russell.
Yes.
There was a statement made at the hearing that the Presby removes bacteria, but it doesn't remove nitrogen. Is that correct? Do I have that correct? That it's the
That's-
Presby?
that is correct.
The statement was made, yes.
Well, I made the statement
Yeah.
because it doesn't. Title V does not have any, he said it does remove some. Well, no Title V that I know of, that's why they're just called Title V, not a denitrifying system, removes, and no matter what little bit is not accepted by the DEP as a nitrogen removal system.
Yeah. I
And
heard
not only that,
there's-
but Presby's
there's
are,
like a
are,
20% removal,
are,
as opposed to a 90% removal.
and honestly, I was kind of surprised that the Board of Health wasn't a little more emphatic on it, but they, they don't look at nitrogen, just so
No.
everybody knows, they only look at bacteria. And they don't even look at viruses, to be honest. But, again, I just feel that with Betsy, supporting it, that our charge is to protect the quality, the shellfish and the water quality.
Well, if we're
And-
ever gonna, if we're
If
ever
we're gonna
gonna
start-
switch back to start, this is one where we made we had a discussion, and we gave him the opportunity to go back. And it wasn't as if these people had never heard. All the people on West Falmouth Harbor were given the opportunity to be part of.
With 100 feet, we're given the opportunity to be involved in the grant for the cleaning of the harbor.
Right, and 18 of those systems are already in.
And there were still 2 open grants available in these people. I mean, not that that makes any difference on this, that they didn't want to accept it, because there were conditions that some people would want them to do it, they didn't have to accept the grant.
Mary?
Are 18 systems already in?
The 18 are, yeah, there's 4 that aren't so far.
So the
They
18
just haven't been
systems,
finished.
are there 18 systems in or 18 systems approved
18 systems approved.
under the grant program?
Go ahead, Mary.
I would just make the point, this is the house that's for sale, not 10 Chapel.
Correct.
Correct.
Right,
Um,
yeah, that's
okay.
what I asked.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The other thing I will say is, before Maury and Betsy got into the historical precedence on this, I was inclined to feel that if it's not in our regulations, it's not really fair to applicants to put this kind of expectation on them. Since, given all the history, I don't feel so strongly, but I still think that we should think about amending our regulations a little to provide some notice of the conditions under which we would be inclined to require.
Well, the
that.
interesting thing is, the one on that Mike McGrath had in front of us the other night, with the trees that they did move that we closed.
Right.
The
Shore
hood
Road.
system.
They put a hoot system in, and they don't even have to. I mean, they're not even, same as these people, they don't have to, but they did it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody's in the same position to do things also. I mean, I just think it would be more fair if there were some indication in our regulations that we have this higher standard for certain areas. That's all.
No,
It's not
I
really,
agree, yeah.
it's not germane necessarily, I mean, it's germane, but it's got nothing to do with the vote on this one.
right, but it does make sense to give people that
Yeah.
a heads up.
Opportunity to bring it up.
Well, but they've known that this is an area that is sensitive to begin with. And they're already, just so you know, they're already putting 2 tanks in. And because they have to have a pump chamber and a leach field, that's all that you need for a hoot system. And I don't know, I'm not gonna throw numbers out for a cost, but when they say, it costs so much more, they'd have to prove that. If they're gonna say that, then they should say it's $20,000 more, $5,000 more, and it's a real hardship
I
for the
agree.
people or whatever. But a standard Title V only has 1 tank. A pump system like this, because it's in a velocity zone also, doesn't, it requires 2 tanks, which denitrifying systems require.
I tend to agree with you guys. It's so close. I mean, if it was on the edge, I might go the other way, but I agree.
Well, even if they didn't have to have variances, honestly, that's what really tripped me. It needed 4 variances.
Yeah.
On top of it, so it's
From-
still not
from-
even meeting Title V
From
regulation.
4 variances
I
from
mean, you have,
From Board of Health.
And one from us, they're too close to the
Salt
salt
marsh.
marsh, but not by very much, but still.
13 feet or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Somebody
I mean,
wanna make a motion?
basically-
I'm gonna
I'm
make
going to
a
make a motion that we accept this. Well, I'm going to make a motion that we
You put a positive motion.
positive motion on the table, and then if you feel strongly that it shouldn't be, then you would vote no on this. Just to let everybody know. To remind everybody how we work.
I will
Okay, so
second that.
We have a motion by Betsy and a second by Maury. Did you have something else, Jen?
No, only that, any proposed septic system or repair to an existing septic system that is not in compliance with the setback requirements shall be presumed to have a significant or cumulative adverse effect on the resource area values specified.
I think
And
you
then
should,
that presumption may be overcome by credible evidence derived from a competent source that the proposed septic system will have no more significant or cumulative effect to the resource area values of the bylaw than one would have met the setback. So, that's where you should focus on. Is this thing going to reduce, cause more of an impact than a system that met the setback requirements? And if your answer is yes,
yes.
because
And
it's
there is
not
a system,
removing the-
and there is
yeah.
a system you could put in.
not the system that's in there now, a system that would have met the setback requirements. That's what you have, that's what your regulations say.
Actually, with the hoot system, you can have a reduced leach field because of its denitrifying
So-
attributes to it. So it might have
So, I mean,
made the setback.
everyone always comes before you and said you're required to approve this because of, there's an existing system. No, the onus is on the applicant to prove that if they cannot meet the setback requirements, that the system they are installing will not have a cumulative effect. Then a system that could meet the setback requirements. So, not with what is already there. And that's where it tends to get blurred sometimes.
Right.
So, just making that clarification. for
I
you
would
guys.
also say that no particular argument was advanced for the variance required.
No.
Yeah.
Certainly didn't address some of the requirements for a variance.
Yeah, kind of just let it go. So he was going to keep it in because we did give him a chance.
We gave them a chance.
to go
It
back
was
and
made
talk.
abundantly clear, and I think I even clarified it. So,
Okay.
you have two choices, Mr. Either you close the hearing and walk away and take the chance, or you go back and request a continuance. And they chose to close the hearing,
Yeah,
so.
I believe I made it really clear.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table and a second. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, no?
No.
Wow, okay. Yeah, they all voted no.
30 Shore Road, Cuthbert.
This is the hoot system.
This is the new system. This is the one they moved,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. they moved to save the
hoot
two oak
system
trees.
to save the oaks, and instead are sacrificing the rhododendron. They will, it's the next one, Dave. It's,
Yeah, this is,
they redid the spacing on the, are they tupelos down on the bank? Cedars?
Cedars.
Cedars.
Yep.
And they put in a schematic for the dewatering.
yeah,
Yep.
So I think they basically submitted the revised plan that addressed all of the
Addressed-
commission's concerns.
yep,
And the other thing too is that I mentioned it to Jen about Steve Rafferty got me and said that the Board of Health does not like doing the tight tanks at all.
No,
That's fine.
Because their concern is
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah.
yes.
And they, in case it overflows, so they'd rather go this route.
This is and
Yeah.
the hoot systems and
That's fine.
illuminates are really good.
Anything else?
I have a note here. I honestly don't remember much about this, but the note I have is that the deck repairs weren't permitted.
Oh, yeah, they had written something, oh, where is it in their notes?
They had some.
It was actually
some
kind
Army.
of,
Oh,
it
no,
was
that's-
actually
that's a
kind of
different one.
comical.
Never mind.
Where was it? I found it entertaining. Well, I did. Oh, it was in an email. We should clarify that right now. The existing decks were repaired in 2013. There is no change in footprint, so the repairs are considered maintenance, and no conservation approval was obtained. For the record and our studio audience, you always are required to receive permission from the commission if you're working within their jurisdiction. Whether the decks were there or not, they still should have come back for permission for the decks. We can make a finding, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just make a finding
And they did
on the
put the
decks.
You're right.
the natural heritage line on too.
Yeah.
I did, okay.
I move that we accept as discussed.
Second.
So a motion by Betsy and a second by Maury. Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Perch Pond, the Perch Pond Preservation, Inc.
Okay, this is the dredging project in Perch Pond. Basically, give me 1 second, Mr. Chairman.
They reduced the size.
Well, I just want to go over the, so basically, the bottom dredge footprint was 24, they reduced it to 18. They did not reduce the length of the channel, so basically, they're proposing this to improve navigation to Perch Pond. I did not bring a scale.
You need a scale?
Yes, do you have one? I just don't know how long this thing is right now off the top of my head. It's or so it's a fairly long channel, fairly wide channel, to improve, basically, at the very first hearing, we were told it was to approve navigation. The second hearing, that took more of a flushing and water quality flavor to it, and then the last hearing, when the board had requested some water quality data to kind of provide evidence for the argument that data was requested by the party but was not submitted to this board.
I believe I requested water quality data the first time they came.
Possibly,
Yeah.
possibly.
And this time, they seem to indicate that there are those water quality data available, but that was more than 6 months ago.
Yeah,
And so I wasn't happy with the effort that was put forward with the first suggestions that we had as to what we needed to make a decision.
I mean, the staff's concern here is just the amount of shellfish in the area. You cannot overlook it.
right.
You have some incredibly strong statements from the Assistant Director of Marine and Environmental Services, which should be given respect.
I mean, I was told, I
If you
agreed.
walk out on the site, it's astounding how many soft-shell clams are there that you can see.
And I agree with it. The shellfish warden, he's also the shellfish warden.
Yeah, he's also
And
the
I mean,
shellfish
he's
warden.
really stuck in the mud against this.
There were some
you know.
pretty, strong statements
Very
from
compelling.
Chuck
Pretty
Martin.
strong. Yes, Mary, I'm
I
sorry.
have a point to make on each of these
Okay.
topics. I didn't read line for line, but went through the Mass Estuaries Project report on
Sorry about that.
all those 3 ponds and their little sub-embayments.
Yep.
And it was issued in 2005. The data that the findings were based on went from, I think it was 97, I'm not sure, but through 2003, only through 2003. So in terms of what we originally asked for, I think that's probably not recent enough data. However, to me, I mean, Perch Pond was being described as seriously degraded in 2003, and to me, that's 2 years after the last dredging took place. So, that's not a very strong argument for it being beneficial for the water quality.
What was that seriously degraded in when, Mary? 2000?
The report was issued in 2005, and the latest data in the report was from 2003, just according.
I see, yeah.
Okay. On the question of the shellfish,
Right, can I add something? Can I add something to that, though?
yeah,
Because it goes on that same thing, and that is, well, forget, go on, but I had something to add to that part.
okay. On the question of the shellfish, I feel for these people, and I find this a really tough one. But the shellfish thing is a pretty hard hurdle for me to get over. And I don't know if this even makes sense, but I'm wondering if there could be something like a performance bond required. One problem would be, how long a period till we evaluate whether there was damage or not, damage that can't be repaired or whatever, but anyway, I'm just throwing that out there.
I think a performance bond might be difficult because you're looking at the economic. One, you're looking at the natural seed set and land containing shellfish and the damage to land containing shellfish. You're also looking at the commercial loss.
Right.
And how do you quantify?
And then the loss to the public.
The habitat loss, it's not just the.
Right, it's
Habitat
a lot of
loss,
different things.
It's a habitat loss, and it's a large economic loss
Right.
as well to the community.
So I know what I was gonna say. So what's on both these points, they brought in, the letter from the former shellfish warden.
Montague.
Paul
From,
Montague.
right, from
Paul Montague.
2001. Now, it's important to say that we have testimony that it took more than 10 years before the habitat reestablished itself to allow a commercial density of shellfish to reestablish. But Paul Montague wrote us another letter, and I think you should put in that he regretted doing that. Number one, because it really didn't feel that it improved shellfishing within the pond, which was sort of his goal, improve water quality so there could be shellfishing within the pond. And two, because it took so long, but I don't think he had anticipated that it would have had such an effect on shellfish habitat.
We also have the data from the plots that were taken by the town and by the applicant, and the applicant does admit to having significant quantities of shellfish. It's a high significance there.
We had testimony that not only was the channel damaged,
don't-
but the areas, I mean, that's why I
Yeah,
wanted those.
that's in
So-
Chuck's testimony.
Refers to that.
And also Dave's testimony.
Yes. Yeah, that's in Mr. Martinson's testimony and Mr. Brown's testimony.
The other concern I had was,
I just don't think that enough thought was given to, from day one, this board said, reduce the channel, we have concerns, reduce the channel, we have concerns. And those, reducing the channel from 24 to 18, but not reducing the length. I can calculate the percentage out that it was reduced, but it wasn't significant. And it's going to have the same damaging effect to land containing shellfish.
So we had a total of 3 hearings on this, right?
4.
4?
Before, yeah.
So
The
until the last one, we finally got some sort of compromise, which they reduced.
At the
revised
first hearing,
A
we
revised
asked for water
plan was-
quality data, we asked for the channel to be
revised
reduced.
plan was submitted July 6th.
The second hearing was just so Don Anderson could give his report. The third and that's all we did, that hearing. The third hearing was the one a couple of weeks ago, and the fourth was last week.
Right.
But we asked in
Mr.
December, we asked for
Anderson's
data in December.
Mr. Anderson's report was
It was
required
11th
by the
hour.
Division of Marine Fisheries to address the concerns they
Cyst.
had about the Alexandrium cyst.
the other, the question that really wasn't answered also, that still bothers me, was when Mike was asked, Mike Borselli, the engineer, at the second to the last hearing, I think, I'm not sure, it might have been the third to the last, but about reducing the channel. And he stated that reducing the channel would not help flushing. Those were his words, I wrote them down. Then last week, he stated that he wasn't in a position
To say that anymore.
To say that. And I was like, and then he didn't know, and I said, who was the expert that designed the depth of the channel? And Mike said he wasn't qualified. So I'm curious, who was ever qualified to design this channel? if that was the engineer that designed, I don't know, maybe you need a channel designer, I don't know,
The channel is actually mimicking the depth and width
of that old,
of the older dredge footprint,
okay.
okay?
All right, so they were defending an older one that they had?
Yes, they
Okay.
came under, not, they didn't come under improvement dredging, they came under,
Okay.
what's referred to in the state as maintenance dredging.
Okay,
If a dredging project has been previously approved, the state allows for maintenance dredging projects.
Okay.
That said, you know, if the maintenance dredging project is going to damage a significant resource area, that's what this board needs to weigh, and that's what you're doing right now.
well, it is,
Well, that's
and
what
it's,
the
there's no
testimony was.
discussion, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're destroying habitat.
Yeah.
There's no way
and
to
there's-
mitigate.
there's no way to
Unfortunately,
mitigate.
there's no way to mitigate for that
You
habitat.
cannot.
Considered
You
a
Not-
mistake,
just-
but-
You
Yes,
cannot
by the
mitigate
person
for it.
who,
And even if we had a bond put
Permanent.
up, that does not, all that does is buy seed clam. That doesn't take into effect the loss and the mortality when they, after they do it. It's not even feasible.
it's different, it's difficult to
it's-
seed these anyway.
Yeah.
And I talk to people in Maine, and it's almost impossible. They have to build special cages, and you've lost the habitat. So even if we move these, where do we put them? We don't have any other
Chuck
place in
says they can,
town.
even if the channel, even if the pond closes off, that the soft shells can survive even when it's closed off for a time. The argument that it will kill
Well, there's a
kill them
whole-
if it's temporarily closed off is, he pauses, I don't foresee this happening at this point. There would
There's a
be
whole
overwash.
shoreline.
Yeah.
Where there still will be, I
Right.
mean, you know, wind and stuff blows up against, even if that closed off, which I don't think it will, but even if it did, there's gonna be
Right.
soft shell habitat on that edge before you get to the sill that goes to the pond.
Well, I think we should just move forward.
I,
I agree.
do you want
been doing
any,
this since 7
do you need
months,
any
8
more
months.
discussion, Jen?
No, I'm gonna go back and look at Mr. Borselli's testimony, I'll look at Mr. Martinson's testimony about the shellfish, Mr. Brown's testimony, the applicant's testimony, and I'll craft the
Paul Montague's one.
Paul Montague's, and I'll look at, you know, the water quality argument, lack of information submitted for that.
Well, they seem
Well,
to
they said-
indicate, they seem to indicate,
It was only for
They-
navigation.
no, and they also indicated they could have gotten water quality data, but they hadn't asked soon enough.
Well,
I don't
in
think
their
that's a good
defense,
argument.
in their defense, the best source of the water quality data is, has in the past shown a reluctance to release his data. However, at the first or second hearing, the applicants were the ones who told us that we should know all about it because it's published in the Enterprise, which I don't believe is the case, not more than once in a great while. But if it is the case, I mean, they never mentioned trying to collect that, you know,
Information.
which if they were right, they should have been able to
They-
collect.
And submitted.
It
Yeah.
used to be, the Enterprise used to publish those data.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, it starts this month, but it used to be, they used to do every month the pond watcher data. But I haven't seen it this year. I mean, I've looked now that after that.
It was in this week.
Was it in this week? Okay.
So the data could have been collected, analyzed,
Presumably some data set.
you
Well,
go
they're
to
the ones that
the
said that they saw it all
library,
the time.
and you look through the papers.
Right,
It's intensive, it cannot be done online, but, you know,
right. It's a
before
lot of work.
computers, research was still done.
It was requested quite a while ago.
Okay. I'll write the difficulties in mitigating for soft shell and that amount of soft shell, the economic loss, the loss to the habitats, water quality, the large dredge footprints. Okay.
And actually, if you go in the minutes, Jen, check the May 18th minutes also.
Okay, 4?
Because Brad Holmes said that this project was for navigation, dredging, and beach nourishment. And then Mr. Wall stated it's for aesthetics and recreation. So the flushing, I thought, was kind of a moot point, because it really
Yeah.
wasn't about that.
I think the
It just
whole,
got
I
thrown
think
in.
it was the submission for the third hearing. It just kind of did an about face almost as to the rationale for the whole thing. All of a sudden, it's all about aesthetics and water quality. so.
I probably could have voted for it, or I probably could vote for it if it was 3 foot wide, and it was particularly for that.
Yeah.
I could understand, but this is not.
Right.
This is not for that.
No.
Okay,
I move that I put a positive motion on the table for this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Betsy and Mary. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no.
No.
No. Abstentions? Unanimous? No.
No.
unanimous now, okay.
Move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn. Or did you
Second.
get to adjourn? A second.
Maury got you.
2 seconds on,
All those
2
in favor
seconds
say
at
aye.
this end.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. We're adjourned.